What need has a devil for forgiveness? When hell is a lie spun by madmen.
So, Devstream 189 has just ended, which means we have a lot to talk about. We've got a brand new Warframe revealed, there is a massive update in the Vallis Undermined, there is big reworks for Oberon and of course damage attenuation, as well as deluxe skins, events and tons of quality of life changes on the way in October as well. So let's just dive right in. This is Warframe number 62 and his name is Nokko, the fungi themed Warframe or mushroom themed Warframe. Now, Rebecca described him as kind of like Ureli's little brother, but not really, so it's not canon. But that's kind of the vibe that they're going for. Now, Nokko even has a first of its kind feature where his idle animations can actually link to another Warframe, so expect that maybe to roll out with Grendel and Gauss as well. He's also coming with his own ephemera, which is 3 little mushroom companions that run around him and they're all caked up, as well as having a signature weapon, which is the Arbucep Archgun. And while we're talking Archguns, they are getting a bit of a change where you're going to be able to equip both a primary arcane and a secondary arcane on Archguns once this update goes live in October. Now, Nokko is arriving on October the 15th with the Vallis Undermind update, which is the next major update. And basically Orb Vallis has thawed out, and when it thawed out, new fungus have appeared which will lead you to following this small little mushroom creature into a new area where there is decayed infested zone called the Undermined, where the real expansion begins. Now, it's basically a huge zone underneath Orb Vallis that is kind of like the cave system combined with Corpus tileset at the same time. Now, at the heart of all this is a new character called Nightcap, who is inside an area that's kind of been hidden away inside Fortuna. Nightcap is kind of a Solaris unit that has been completely overtaken by mushrooms, and he'll act as both the vendor for Nokko, which is kind of like a pity system for farming Nokko. If you don't get his parts, you'll be able to get them here. Nightcap also tends to a mysterious being or creature known as the Prince, and as you explore the Undermined, you'll be able to collect mushroom parts and new foliage that can then be offered to Prince, and feeding him will send you on small little adventures which are a little bit of a side bit of gameplay which will give you Nokko's lore and explain what happened to Nokko or how they came to be. And the Undermined also has its very own full bounty system. Fortuna's elevator is basically going to go down once you speak to the little mushroom once you're in Fortuna, opening up this kind of big subterranean space. Now, Rebecca did stress just how large this new tileset is, but it's not an open world. It is full of mushroom patches, critters to discover, and even direct connections back to the Corpus Labs. So imagine a kind of Fortuna-styled expansion, but underground. So it all sounds very, very nice, but what are Nokko's abilities? Now, Nokko, of course, is going to lean into that mushroom theme. His first ability is Stink Brain, which will let you throw down a mushroom that will periodically send out poisonous spores that will both deal viral damage and status effects to enemies. Then there is Bright Bonnet, which will release a rejuvenating mushroom that will pulse out energy for you and your teammates while giving a short-term buff to ability strength as well. His third ability is called Reroot, which will let you revert into your sporling or sprogling form, where he will heal rapidly, he will become untargetable by enemies, and he will spread spores around that will lull enemies to sleep. Now, his fourth ability, Spore Spring, will launch a chaotic ballistic mushroom that will seek out enemies and bounce explosively between targets. If his Spore Spring, his ultimate ability, if the mushroom he throws out comes into contact with any of the other mushrooms that he has down, it will invigorate the mushroom you've thrown, or it will invigorate, the mushrooms that are down, and it will double the effective trigger rate or the pulse rate for those mushrooms as well. Now, his passive is called Vital Decay. Upon receiving fatal damage, Nokko will instead revert to his sporling, the miniature sprodling form, and it will have a limited time for him to reach one of the locations of his previously placed down mushrooms. If he doesn't reach them, then of course he will die and go into a down state and need to be revived. But if he reaches one of the mushrooms, he will revive himself. Now, the way Rebecca described his playstyle is kind of like planting your own little garden and staying inside it and using your ultimate to bounce in between all of those other mushrooms while they will be dealing viral damage and they will be giving you plenty of energy in order to, spam as many abilities as possible, because his ultimate can bounce between those mushrooms and enemies and create that kind of web of chaos. Now, Nokko wasn't the only major reveal, but you can let me know in the comment section below what you thought of Nokko once you've seen him on the stream, what you think of his abilities, if it sounds like the kind of frame for you. But Pablo did join the stream in a kind of pre-recorded video and walk us through two of the big changes coming with the update in October as well on the 15th, which is Oberon's rework and of course the update to the damage attenuation system. Now Oberon is getting a full kit pass. His passive is now called Righteous Negation, where picking up health orbs will grant him 3 charges of a personal invulnerability shield, and those charges will apply to teammates as well. His first ability, Smite, no longer sends out homing projectiles. Instead, it directly strips armor and overguard, and it chunks up to 75% of an enemy's health and shields. It will stagger them, it will open them up to finishers, and Smite now also creates a small kind of splash effect for nearby enemies as well, with Xmas units more or less going to be your top priority because this does health percentage damage, so it does. Hallowed Ground, his second ability, is no longer a cone, it's now a full circle that scales with range and even affects enemies in the air. Nullifiers can't erase your garden on the ground either, your Hallowed Ground, they just nullify itself inside it. Also, it applies radiation damage much more frequently at a better rate, and Renewal will heal you for double if you are standing on Hallowed Ground as well as the cleansing effect, which will remain unchained. Now, his Renewal ability has been simplified and made stronger. It now has a flat energy drain. It sticks to Oberon's affinity range instead of the kind of clunky aura that he used to have, so he's got a much larger range. And it provides more armor and even better armor to your teammates because it gives them twice the amount. His Ultimate Reckoning now has a line of sight limitation, but it hits much harder. I think he said on stream that it might hit 3 times what it does currently in the game. Its damage scales with radiation stacks on enemies, and the armor strip has been moved to the ability itself, so you don't need to be standing on hallowed ground. Now, with his new passive, giving you damage negation, those 3 shields that rotate around him whenever you pick up a health orb, it looks like his playstyle is going to be based around the constant upkeep of that, while also stripping enemy armor and especially going after Xmas units, because now you can completely get rid of their overguard. Overall, Oberon looks like he's been shifted into a smoother version of what he was, a tankier version, a more supportive paladin frame compared to what he was, giving more armor values, better healing, the rotation of his hallowed ground being a circle and not a cone in front of him, giving you maybe more ground coverage as well, and a better spreading of radiation. He looks like he's better than he was before, but if you're an Oberon main, let me know in the comment section below what you think of the changes, because I'm just an Oberon tourist, so I wouldn't be someone who plays a whole lot of Oberon. But then again, the way he was in the game, I don't think anyone really played a huge amount of Oberon. Now, for the damage attenuation changes, I think it's better just to let Pablo take this one away. So I'm going to play the little video that Pablo used on the Devstream in order to explain their reasoning for the changes and what the changes are actually going to bring to the game. So take it away, Pablo.
But here I am virtually to talk about damage attenuation. You guys have been asking us to look at it for a while, so here we are. Sorry if there's a little bit of construction noise, cannot be helped. So what is it? Damage attenuation is a system that we use mostly for bosses, where if they take a lot of damage in a short amount of time, they raise their defenses so they don't die as fast. What is the purpose of it? The purpose is, since we have such a big gap on how much damage you can do in Warframe, think of someone that has been playing for a long time, but doesn't have the best ribbon in the world, doesn't have max arcanes, they don't have like all the shards, thaw forged on their Warframe, etc., etc. Compare that to someone that does have the best of the best, the latest incarnate, everything format to the extreme. That gap in damage is so large that if we tune bosses for the bottom group, then for the top group, whenever you go into a brand new boss that we just released, like we just released Thoraxia, for example, you go in to fight the brand new boss that we worked on, you get there, shoot her once, she's dead. Obviously, that would be pretty anticlimactic. You probably wonder, why did they spend 4 to 6 months working on this boss if it's just going to die in one shot? It probably would be pointless for us to even work on bosses at that point. So if we, instead of that, tune the damage numbers for the top group, then that bottom group is going to suffer because it's going to take 1,000,000 years to kill that boss because he's going to have so much health that it's going to feel like chopping wood. So obviously, we don't want either of that. So that is the purpose of this. It allows us to balance somewhere in the bottom middle, and then basically damage attenuation takes care of making the fight last a certain amount of time for both groups. What are the issues with this? Well, there's a few. So the first one is it doesn't work really well for scaling levels. So all the numbers are tuned for the normal version. So when you fight the version in like Deep Archimedia, for example, sometimes those fights, and you probably experienced it if you're a veteran, those fights end up taking 25 minutes or something crazy. And obviously that's not fun for anyone. The other issue is that it's very confusing. There's many different variants of the system. So some are affected by fire rate, some are affected by other things. So that obviously is no good. No one understands exactly how it works, and it changes from boss to boss, so we don't like that. And the third issue is obviously for a game like ours, where it's a lot about like getting the next upgrade and getting the more powerful mod and the more powerful Raven and blah, blah. It feels bad that once you have good gear, the boss fights don't feel that different than when you have extremely good gear. Because once you're past a certain point, the damage attenuation will kind of keep pushing back so you don't go too fast. Obviously, that doesn't feel good. So what are we changing about this? We're changing a few things. So first, no more flat numbers. So the way it works right now is essentially all of those damage attenuation thresholds are set up by flat numbers. So imagine something like, once you deal more than 10,000 damage in a second, the damage attenuation kicks in. Well, that works fine when you're like in normal, but once you're in Steel Path, 10,000 damage is kind of nothing, so that means the attenuation kicks in right away. Once you're obviously in Deep Archimedia, it means 10,000 damage, you apply, 100 times that. So it obviously is not very useful at that point. So instead of that, now it's going to be based on percentages, and that will allow it to scale much better throughout the game. So you'll never encounter now those 30-minute fights in Deep Archimedia. We're going to standardize it. Again, like I said earlier, we have many different versions. So there's like some that are affected by crit, some that are not, some that can be circumvented with fire rate, some that were made for a single boss. We have a whole bunch of different systems for this. We're going to standardize them all into one so that as a player, you have more clearer experience when you're playing against bosses, and it doesn't feel like it's all over the place depending on the boss that you fight. And it also makes it easier for us to maintain and be sure that it's working as expected because it's a single system, and as we touch it, it basically spreads throughout the game. We're lowering the attenuation. This is to address that other thing that I was saying, which is that at a certain point you feel like your upgrades no longer kind of matter for bosses because the damage attenuation kicks in too early. So right now there's some bosses where attenuation kicks in like when you have almost no gear, you immediately starts kicking in. So with these new numbers, it's much more forgiving. It takes significantly longer for those the damage attenuation to kick in. It's hard to give you like precise numbers because again, it also will scale based on the level that you're fighting. But if you're something like Deep Archimedia, you probably can have an Incarnon with Roar and you'll have a hard time kicking into the damage attenuation. Basically, it'll be hard to break into that barrier where the damage attenuation starts to intervene. So hopefully with that, you'll feel more the effects as you get gear and as you get stronger, you'll be able to see larger numbers against those bosses. Obviously, if we just did that, the bosses would die immediately. So overall, we're changing the effective health of those bosses since we know where you're going to fight them. So we know like if you're fighting one in Steel Path, we know the sort of gear that we can expect from you to have on Steel Path. We know what sort of gear we can expect from you in something like Deep Archimedia or a normal. So we're going to tweak the health of those bosses to deliver a similar experience to what it is today on kind of our target gear. Is going to be a similar amount of time, but that does mean that because now it's health and not attenuation, if you get better gear, you kill the boss faster. If you have lesser gear, you kill the boss slower. So now your gear actually matters more. The other thing is we're fixing it for multiplayer. Right now, the way it works is once attenuation kicks in for one player, it kicks for everyone. So with this new version, let's say you're super veteran with all the gear in the world, attenuation will kick in, but it won't affect someone that has more middle of the road gear playing with you. It'll have to apply for each person. So, yeah. So there's way too many bosses. It's a very large change. There's a lot of bosses. There's a lot of versions. You know, the normal, the steel path, the deworking media, the hard modes. There's many variants, and obviously there's a lot of different kind of combinations with different warframes, different weapons, and whatnot. So we're definitely expecting that once this releases, we're still gonna need to tweak it some. As you guys test it out and you play it and you give us the experience, you'll say like, hey, Pablo, you know, this boss now is taking too long to kill, and then we'll probably nerf it. And then you'll say, oh, this one now just drops when I shoot it twice. We'll probably buff that one. And then basically, we're going to need your feedback to help us figure out the things that need touching. A great example, for example, is the Tridolon. We've tried it with the best gear on live and on dev, and it feels pretty similar to us. But if you're out there and you say like, hey, I could do 27 runs per night before, and now I can only do 26, we'll take a look and we'll see what we can do.
Now, there is also a brand new cinematic quest coming with the October update on the 15th called the Teacher Quest, the mod quest basically for new players. It's designed to help new players understand modding more clearly, which is definitely something that everyone in the community should be on board with, considering we all remember what it was like when we first jumped in and how confusing it could be. Now, on the cosmetic side, we've got the Wukong Deluxe skin, which is on screen right now, which is also coming in the October update. It comes with a sun and moon themed weapon skin for those swords as well, and it is kind of dripping of jade. It looks awesome. Honestly, probably one of the best deluxe designs that I've seen on any frame right now, and it is probably one of the most popular frames as well. Then there is the Lavos Chimera, I think it is, deluxe skin, and it looks equally stylish, arriving with the same update. Then there is also the Quest to Cure Cancer Zephyr skin for charity, which is going to be given to everyone, I guess, once the community hits a certain charity goal throughout the month of October, designed, of course, to help that charity drive throughout the month. And of course, there is the Stalker merch pack, which is also going to be released for the charity. And on top of that, we've been told that the voice actor for Ordis is retiring, and now Kevin Lim, who is the voice actor for Bombastine, is going to be stepping in as the new voice for Ordis from this point onwards, for new voice lines, not for the old ones. They will be staying as they are. On top of this, we've also got Knights of Naberus returning in October. There is a Halloween themed cosmetics coming with that, and armor and other things. There is also the Nora's Day of the Dead Nightwave, which is going to be dropping in October as well, with its own Sayandana cosmetics and so on. There is a Naberus themed Barrow-Katir rotating in throughout October as well, who will also have some new items on display. And finally, there is a mountain of quality of life changes coming with the Vallis Undermined update as well in October. From weapon recoil changes, screen shake changes, shoulder attachments can now be equipped at the same time. We're getting more favorite colors that we can keep on our color palettes. There is Scaldra enemy numbers are being increased for Scaldra missions, because we all hate those missions where you have to kill a certain amount of Scaldra and next thing 90% of it is feckin' tech rot. That's going to be fixed. And Fortuna is getting lighting upgrades alongside a new batch of Tenogen cosmetics as well. That's pretty much Devstream 189. Nokko and the Vallis Undermined update will drop on October the 15th with Oberon's rework, damage attenuation changes, new deluxe skins. The mod Teacher Quest, Knights of Naberus will be sometime in October. And there is a ton of improvements all rolling in with the same update. So let me know in the comment section below what you like the look of in the Devstream or what you didn't like the look of. Have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.
Tonight I'm gonna feel alive.